I have been in physical fights due to like bullying and all these things in school. People always ask me, was there that turning moment where you just looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I'm gonna love me? And I'm like, no, it wasn't a moment.
Supermodel, actress, and spokesperson Winnie Harlow is one of the most recognized faces on the international fashion scene, as well as a groundbreaking advocate for diversity in beauty standards.
Not that I'm ashamed of having vitiligo. There's no getting away from it. It is a part of me, but it is a part of me. It isn't who I am. It doesn't define me.
Winnie spoke passionately about her Jamaican heritage and being surrounded by a culture of strong women with her unmistakable confidence.
And I think just seeing them and their style and their confidence, it made me want to be that way as well.
And the time Beyonce stole from her.
They run over to me, see my shoes, and they're like, where did you get those shoes? I think I was born with confidence. I'm also a Leo. So I think I just came out of the womb.
When's your birthday?
Confident. July 27th.
Oh, my wife's July 30th.
Nice.
Yeah, very
yes.
close. Very close.
Leo, that
Leos,
strong lightness power. So I think it just came from my family. My grandmothers are very strong women, both Jamaican. And I think just seeing them and their style and their confidence, it made me want to be that way as well.
Yeah.
And it wasn't until, I started going to school and that's when those types of things really do start forming, when you venture out into the world and kids can be mean, which, I think that's something we all know, which is fine. Right. But once I started hearing other people's opinions of me and how I looked, it kind of made me forget all those feelings that I had for myself originally.
Wow.
And I think it just took me being fed up and going through so many situations where I was upset, I was hurt, I was broken down, or like I've been in like physical fights. Like I don't really talk about that aspect of it, but I have been in physical fights due to like bullying and all these things in school. People always ask me, was there that turning moment where you just looked at yourself in the mirror and said, I'm gonna love me? And I'm like, no, it wasn't a moment. I think it was just over time. I was just like, wait, why do I care if this person calls me this name? Why do I care? Like being in the mirror over and over and over again and like getting ready and getting cute and being like, oh, this is nice. Like I like my hair this way. Like feeling myself just helped me build my confidence back up to be like, hold on. Why did I ever care what you thought about how I look? I actually look bomb. Like, why do I need to ask someone what color should I put on my nails or how I should do my hair or what? Like, I should know that for myself. I should try new things. I should do all these things. So, I think it was just relearning what I already knew and what was already taught to me from the jump.
That's incredibly powerful. I think so many people are going to listen to that and just be able to rebuild their own inner confidence just hearing that story. And you know what else is interesting to me that I was talking to Jay about is like how society and perceptions change over time as well. Because when I was growing up, so when I was a kid, Simpsons was the most popular thing. And so similarly, everyone just compared me to Apu from Simpsons. And it's crazy that we literally have that same life experience. That was the only Indian role model that existed. So I always got asked, does your dad work at 7-Eleven or does he drive a taxi?
Okay.
And so I would say, he drives a taxi because he actually did back then. So I guess that stereotype was true. But he went on and with my mom built an amazing empire in transportation. They expanded, did many things. My mom's going to watch this podcast, so I just got to say certain things for her, right? But that was the stereotype, right? So they just assumed that we had accents, we weren't cool, we smelled, we worked at blue collar jobs, right? And then 9/11 happens. 9/11 happens, everyone suddenly thinks that we're terrorists. All my family, especially those that wear turbans, now that was a societal perception. But now over the past few years, for whatever reason, as soon as I tell people I'm Indian, they're just like, oh, you must be really smart. You must be really successful. Because they've seen the Silicon Valley type stories and a lot of Indians in tech. So it's interesting how also just over time, perception starts to change around certain stereotypes. And so how do you feel just the way that people look at beauty and self-expression, has that changed for you, from the time that you were a kid to now?
It changes with our actions though, right? Because like you said, there were things like the Silicon Valley and those things that allowed people to see that in a different light rather than just looking at the negatives of it. So I feel at the at the time, like you guys are saying, Apu, the only person that had vitiligo technically was, have you guys ever watched the Boondocks?
No, I know what it is, but yeah.
So Boondocks is another cartoon that was pretty popular in the early 2000s, and it's really bad. I wouldn't advise you guys let your kids watch it.
Don't watch it.
Yeah, no, I mean I love it. It's one of my favorites. But it's really bad. It's like Simpsons, worse than Simpsons actually. But there was a character on the show who was very dark-skinned and believed that he was white. And so he claimed he had reverse or re-vitiligo.
Okay. Oh, wow.
So he's born white and turned black rather than born black and turned white. But he was also very racist and all these things, whatever. So he's a really bad character. Okay. And so whenever people would call me that, it was like annoying. Yeah. But that was the only thing that they knew of the word vitiligo or Michael Jackson. So that would get me, I would get called Michael Jackson a lot too. But I mean, I love Michael, so.
Yeah, well, I think the thing that I'm learning from you and just the way you reacted to that question earlier, it's just really powerful because I think there's one idea of like, we can sit there, take it all in, internalize it. Or like you said, why am I listening to this person's opinion?
Right.
What is valuable about their opinion?
Right.
Like, is it even relevant to my life? And then going, well, no, it isn't because I can choose, I can take actions, as you said,
for sure,
to build the life I want. I remember, and I think those are 3 really clear steps for people. Like, take a look at who you're listening to. Second, ask yourself, are they the right people to listen to? Chances are they're probably not.
Right.
And then it's like, well, do their opinions and beliefs actually impact your life?
Yeah.
And the answer is no.
Do you know another place where I realized that I had to do that a lot is like
modeling?
Modeling for sure, but I feel like, again, like once people started knowing who I was, I think it was really, I believe, or not I believe, but I've been told I come off as someone who is very outgoing and talkative. I'm actually really like nervous. Like I get very nervous. I get very like shy. I don't show that though. I try to force myself out of that just to be great.
Yeah.
Like socialize with people. Like I'm more of the type of person who would rather be like in the corner of the room, like scoping things out. But I tend to be in the middle of the dance floor and vibing and stuff. And I also tend to try to make myself more comfortable by maybe having my best friend there or having, like things that make me comfortable so that I can be that person that everybody thinks that I am. And I started doing those things because I realized that that's the type of person I am, like bringing my best friend around with me and stuff like that, things that make me comfortable. Because people started coming up to me or like screaming my name when I'd be in the street, I would have a panic. Like it would be so scary to me. And it's like going back to that childhood, like stranger danger, like, why are you screaming at me? And like, I remember one time I had been close to my house too, and that's something I'm very like scared about too, like people knowing where I live or anything like that. So I remember I was living in New York. I was close to my apartment. I had just come downstairs and someone was screaming my name down the street. And I got into a panic and I like turned around and I walked the other way, like totally like paranoid, scared. And I was like, what? Why did I do that? I could have just said hi. Like, it's not that deep, they probably were just excited, whatever. And they went on TikTok being like, she saw me and she turned around and flipped her hair and acted like I wasn't there and da-da-da-da. And they received it in such a different way than it actually happened. Yeah. And it also made me so sad too, because that's not the experience that I want people to have when they meet me.
Right.
So I realized after like hearing a few times like, oh, a fan would meet me and they thought that I was too good for them, I was like, you know what? I need to get out of my head of this like nervous, whatever thing. And even sometimes, this is something I do in my job as well, saying how I feel. Because I feel like sometimes I just like, you just want to figure it out and just move on. But I was like, the more I say how I'm feeling, the more people will understand. So if I'm nervous and a fan comes up to me and I tell them that I'm nervous, they understand what the situation is rather than just turning around and running away and then feeling like, whatever the case is. I think I learned that, this is a run-on sentence, but I think I learned that from a traumatic situation that I was in. My best friend had been at a party like 6 years ago and she got shot in both legs. And this is in Canada. So anybody who thinks that Canada's soft, we deal with stuff out there as well. She got shot in both legs and
at a party.
At a party, insane. So it wasn't wrong place, wrong time. She's going through these things like you're helping her learn how to walk, all that. And I remember one time, this is also the time when I was living in London. So I was back and forth between London and Toronto. I was in London at a shoot, and she called me during the lunch break, and she was just in tears because they were taking her stitches out of her, her wounds. And she just asked me to stay on the phone with her while she cried. So I'm now on lunch break crying my eyes out, and I asked someone, can you find me somewhere where I can speak privately? And they put me in like one of the moving van trucks that they had for all the equipment, and I was just in the car crying with her. Well, of course, I didn't say anything to anyone because when it's a private moment, it's a crazy moment at the time too. But they didn't know why I hadn't come back from lunch, and they had seen me sitting outside in this car, just sitting there to them, just chilling, and went back to my team being like, she's so rude. She was just sitting out there, did not want to come back from lunch, boo, 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 boo. My team's calling me like, what's going on? Why haven't you come back from lunch? And I'm like, in tears, sobbing, like, I'm sorry that they didn't know, I should have said something, is what I said to myself. I should have said something. So I think going forward in my life, like, that's one thing that I try to do more often is speak up and say something, because I think I'm also like a fixer. Like, I just want to make things work. I just want to like sort things out. I'll get this done, then I'll get this done, then I'll get this done. But the more I vocalize and I say what's going on, the easier it is for me and for everybody else.
And your friend's okay?
Yeah. She's amazing. First thing she wanted to do is get back into heels. So when she started walking, she's in heels now. She struts. She does runways. She's everything.
I love that.
Yeah, she
happy
is
to hear that.
Full of strength, full of happiness, full of power. She is definitely someone to look up to.
Happy to hear that. Yeah, no, I feel like what you just said is so empowering, because I think for so many of us, it's better to share honesty that makes someone feel uncomfortable than leave it to their imagination.
Right.
Because their imagination will most likely not align with your honesty. And I think that's something I've started to realize more recently. I was talking to my sister about this recently as well. My sister's 5 years younger than me. And I was talking about the idea of like, when you don't check your assumption with someone,
right,
chances are your imagination is really far off from the truth.
For sure. Our imaginations are wild.
Our imaginations are wild. And we come up with the randomest stories. We make it all about us. It must be about us. And we must be the victim. And we must have been the one that got left out, forgotten. Someone didn't think about us. And actually, if you check with that person, they'll say, well, I'm dealing with this whole thing or whatever it may be. And I think that that's a really great takeaway, that be honest with people, even if you feel uncomfortable, uneasy, nervous. I think that's so great. And the second thing being that if you're assuming that someone's ignoring you, or if you're assuming that someone else is treating you a certain way, check with them.
Right.
Like, have a go. And if you're right, then at least you know what to do.
Right.
Chances are you might be wrong.
Yeah.
And now you've just saved yourself a relationship or a good friend. So I love both those pieces of advice.
And I might just throw up something just going against the grain a little bit here as well. I was in a plane ride, and it was our first time traveling with our kids. Our elder, she's 2, she just doesn't do well in planes, right? So she's like crying.
I'm with her on that one. Yeah, I feel her.
So she's crying, she's fussy, she's having a hard time. And all I could think about is, what are others passengers' judgments, right? They probably think like, are we not good parents? Like, we raise bad kids. And so all these thoughts are going through my head. And I almost wanted to explain, right? Like, I almost wanted to say, guys, she doesn't do well flying, right? Yeah. She missed her nap today. She didn't eat as much as she usually does for breakfast.
That's the worst feeling. Like, you have to over-explain for situations. Yeah. Oh.
But then a thought crossed my mind, like, why do I care? Right? Which was almost just a different mentality. And I'm not saying this is the right way to go about it, right? But I'm just saying also sometimes I guess we get so hung up in trying to explain ourselves, try to be right all the time, trying to be worried about how people are going to perceive us, and could this negatively impact my career and lead to this and that. But it's like, I feel like there's also something to be said about, like, if you know your truth, that speaks more volumes. If someone else is going to just jump to their own conclusions and assumptions, that says more about them than it does about you. Yeah. And I feel like the truth comes out regardless. So any one of those 3 options.
I honestly, because I live all of those, right?
Yeah.
Like, I also have to think in my head, like, if somebody thinks that way about me, one, they don't know me,
Yeah,
right?
that's what it is.
So like, rather than harp over the fact that someone thinks that I'm a horrible person now
Right,
and all this
right.
stuff, which I have done, of
Yeah.
course, we all do.
Right.
But okay, cool. If I didn't like it, then I can figure it out. And what could I have changed to make sure that, you know, I don't have to feel like that. That person doesn't have to feel like that.
Mm-hmm.
And if not, then you know what? That person doesn't know me.
Right.
I also have to just sit within myself and be like, I know the type of person that I am.
Exactly.
The people around me know the type of person I am. So you know what? Maybe that was a one-off situation or two off or whatever off situation.
Right.
But I do know who I am, and the people who care about me and who love me and are around me know that too. So a fine balance of like knowing who you are, and then also every action has a reaction. You know, so like knowing that and moving through life knowing that as well. So cool. If I'm gonna get scared and clam up and all that, someone's gonna be like, she wasn't very talkative. I feel like she thought she was too good. Like,
right.
Or I could just be like, oh my gosh, I'm so nervous. I don't know what to say.
Yeah.
Boom.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like crisis averted.
Yeah. Absolutely.
There's this like short story. I don't know if you guys have heard it, but it's there was this dad who was trying to tell his kid who was struggling with what people thought of them at school. And so dad's like, all right, we'll come into the kitchen. So the dad puts a hot pot like on the stove and then puts a potato in there in this hot water. After a few minutes, the potato gets really soft. So he goes, touch the potato. How is it? It's soft. Okay, takes the potato out, then puts an egg in there. After a few minutes, tells the kid, touch the egg. Is it hard or is it soft? The kid goes, it's hard. And then he goes, okay, well, now put some coffee beans in there. The beans didn't change. Instead, they changed the water and made it a different color. And then the dad turns to the kid and says, it matters more what's inside you, not what's around you at the end of the day. And I thought that was so powerful, that don't react to the situations that you're in, but rather be the catalyst for change in the environments that you're in. And I feel like all of our lives in some aspects, whether that's our cultural, differences or like how we were born, we've all sort of shaped the environments that we grew up in.
For sure.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh, I'm gonna do that for my kids when I have kids. That is so cute. I love that.
But I feel like part of that is also your entrepreneurship journey. It also came from a moment of pain, a moment from lack of understanding, which led you to founding Cay Skin. Can you tell us about that experience and then how that turned into an actual entrepreneurial journey? Because I think we all go through pain, we all go through challenges, but some of those turn into solutions.
Right.
And that's what you've just been through.
So I obviously am a model, and I was on a shoot in the Bahamas, super hot. I'm from the Caribbean. I am Jamaican. The Bahamas heat is different. Like that sun is a baking sun. And so I got there and I got to set, and they didn't want me to apply sunscreen on set, even though I was shooting on the beach, because it was turning like my brown skin, like purple, blue, living like a white cast, right? So I agreed because I wanted a great shot as well, but I know better. I have vitiligo. I need protection from the sun. My vitiligo has absolutely no melanin at all whatsoever. So I don't tan, I burn in those areas, right? And so I obviously got the worst sunburn of my entire life. I was inflamed, swollen, red, burned, chapped, flaking, everything. It was so painful. They had to have doctors come and give me injections for pain, inflammation. And I was just like, rather than being like, okay, you know what? I'm mad at myself for not wearing sunscreen, or I'm mad at them for like forcing me not to wear sunscreen. I was like, why didn't I wear sunscreen? And the reason was because it didn't look good, right? And we got amazing shots. So yes, I did go through a lot, but we did get amazing shots. So I just left it at that. But what I did take from it was, cool, we didn't want to use it because it didn't look good, it didn't feel good. So why didn't we find something? Because there's nothing on the market. And if there's nothing on the market, I know how important sunscreen is. I want to make sure that there's something that everyone can use, young, old, light, dark, everyone under the sun, that can look good, can feel good, and can protect you from the sun. That is kind of how the idea of Cay Skin came into formation. But whenever I was bringing it, to people and trying to figure out how we were going to create it, I also remembered that my knowledge and my education on sun care came from my heritage, from being Jamaican, from, you know, living there part of the year with my dad and visiting him all the time in Jamaica, and how important it was for him to make sure that I was always covered in sunscreen, and the ingredients that they would use when I did get a sunburn or I did get a mosquito bite or anything like that. Aloe vera, the ingredient that they would use to make sure that I was, you know, nourished from inside out, which was sea moss. And so I really wanted this to speak to me completely. The name Cay comes from, you know, like, I mean, some people call them keys, but, you know, the little islands in the Caribbean. So I wanted it to really speak to everything that had to do with me, my experience and my heritage, and even the packaging. Like, the packaging is like to represent everyone under the sun. And, you know, I have 2 skin tones, but I wanted like each collection to kind of be a representation of people in general. We have like the fairest bottles, the darkest bottles. Like, I love that aspect of it, and I feel like it also speaks to me and who I am.
You have those with you as well, right?
I do. Do you wanna
Show them
see?
off.
Yeah,
Yes, please
really
show them
wanna-
off. Yeah.
That was a
see it.
beautiful
Yeah.
explanation, by the way.
Thank you. So we have quite a few in the collection now. We started with 3 products. We launched 2 more at the end of summer that I'm really, really excited for. I think that was the first time I said that.
I love that. It's so needed. I mean, I grew up in London where I never wore sunscreen, and then when I moved, and then I lived in New York for a couple of years, and then I moved to LA. And for the first few years I lived here, I didn't take care of my skin because I just never grew up in a routine where I had to.
Yeah.
And then all of a sudden I started seeing all this damage on my skin,
Yeah.
and all of a sudden I was like looking around for products, and it was hard for the same reason of finding products that were great for my color of skin and all the
Yeah.
rest of it, and then how it showed up. Some of it made it too shiny. So I'm excited to try some out too.
Is that for men and women?
It's for everyone.
It's for everyone.
Everyone under the sun.
So you know what's funny? I just feel like guys, especially, just don't know how important sunscreen
Totally.
and skincare is.
Yeah.
So
Totally.
same thing. I had all these dark spots all
same.
over my skin. And Laura would just be like, you realize you wouldn't have those if you wore sunscreen. And luckily I was young enough when I
Right.
met her.
Right.
Because if not, man, I would have so many spots, and sunscreen
Sun
is one of
damage.
those.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yeah.
and damage
That's
even
so
more so. Yeah.
important.
Like freckles and stuff that we get from the sun, like tanning even. That's sun
Yeah.
damage, you know?
Yeah.
Like, I know a lot of people be like, oh my gosh, I want to go to the beach and I want to get a tan. I'm like, I'd rather get a fake tan. Like, I want to protect
Yeah.
myself from the sun, and then maybe that's something that I'm going to create with Cay Skin. But, but like, that is sun damage, and that is what, you know, causes cancer,
Yeah.
you know?
Yeah.
And I feel like people, not only do they not really take, I feel like people are actually taking skincare more seriously now
Absolutely.
than they once upon a time
Yeah.
did. So this is a face SPF.
Okay.
Everything that you guys have in your hands is body.
Okay.
So we have the
yeah.
body oil, body lotion, and the deep water dew serum. That's the first product that I created that does not have SPF in it, because, like I said, when I would be in Jamaica and, you know, I would come in with a sunburn, my grandmother would put aloe vera directly onto my skin. So I wanted a body serum that was going to deeply hydrate and bring back the nutrients into your skin after something like a sunburn, or just being in you know, pollution or whatever, just bringing back those nutrients and all that good stuff into your skin.
Yeah.
Everything
I
else.
love
So it has great nutrient-rich things, but they also have SPF. So this is the SPF lip balm. And what was really important to me about the lip balm is 2 things. One, I never seen an SPF lip balm that had SPF that was higher than, like, let's say 10,
Yeah.
12. But your lips are so thin. They are very susceptible to getting damage from the sun and skin cancer, right? So I wanted to make sure that we had a high level of SPF in these. Here you go.
I never even thought of that.
Yeah, in those, to make sure that your lips are very well
I
protected.
love the packaging. It's so dope.
But
So I guess
also,
only one of us gets
hated,
to choose. Well, is it a stick or is
you
it
should
a cream?
you should put it on the back of your hand.
Oh, okay, okay,
And then just
gotcha.
put it on your lip.
See, just
Then
shows
you
how much
guys
we
can
know.
share.
Okay, no, it's okay. We're at that point, right? Okay.
No, but try it though. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Trust me.
What's so beautiful about everything you're saying? Like, I have this saying that I've said in our videos before, that your struggle becomes your superpower.
Right.
And so I don't know if you know that, like, I guess I won't even say the name, but we both have a friend that's like a founder of a very popular cosmetics company. And the reason that she started this company, she exited for like over $1 billion, one of the most successful self-made women in the world. But she had skin problems and felt like none of the products in the marketplace actually worked for her.
Right.
The founder of Alcoholics Anonymous actually struggled with alcohol abuse, right?
Wow.
And I've said this story before, but Arnold Schwarzenegger, who had this Austrian accent that he was told that he's unfit for Hollywood, his accent is actually what makes his videos
biggest
so
attributes,
iconic,
yeah.
is what the press said. And even, not that I should even put my own name in such a list, but I know.
Go ahead. Yeah, that's your showed off.
I know. I just well, I'm just to connect to a personal story, not in the iconic names such as yourself, Winnie, and the other people. But I actually really struggled with writing. And it was my lowest score when I took the SAT, and my English teacher said that I would never be able to pass like an advanced writing class. And now I'm a full-time professional writer, essentially.
I know that's right.
Yeah, but I just think that's so amazing that, like, imagine your younger self who might have dealt with some sort of struggle, right? Like, now you've actually turned that into such a superpower where you've been able to take your life experience and create a company for it that speaks to all people that are going through any sort of challenge. So I just wanted to applaud you for being able to do
Thank
that.
you so much.
Yeah, congratulations.
I need you guys to try the products though.
Yeah, I've only put this one all over. I haven't put the oil because I was scared that I was gonna make a mess. So
yeah, so put it
myself.
onto your arm and then put it onto your lip.
Okay, so I know I don't
Go
have
like
experience
this.
with
I've
this.
already
Like put a little bit on there. Yeah, put quite a bit on there.
Okay, more.
Yeah.
Oh, I'll use the other part of my arm. Jay's
Okay,
like,
I think that's been all over his arm now. Just use
Right?
it.
No,
Just use it on your lips, bro.
Sorry, Jay.
Just use it on your lips.
This one you can actually share. This is for the face, so I want you to put this on your skin. And
I'm all shiny and oily for this podcast. I love it.
yeah, so put
that enough?
put it onto the back of your hand.
Okay.
Rub it in.
Okay. Got this part too now, and this part, yeah.
Put it on both because you put a lot.
I thought you said put this on my face.
Wait, we're not getting
you could
pranked
actually. You don't have any
here,
makeup on, so you're good. Yeah, go
My
ahead.
face, yeah.
Oof. So
Smells
this is,
nice.
Thank you. This is who had no lip balm.
Oh,
Use
me,
that
me,
no
me.
lip balm. Yeah, my lips feel actually really soft right now.
And your face is
I know.
glowing.
Laura's gonna be like, "Why are your lips
Your
so
face
soft?"
is literally glowing right now. But I want
my
to
face
remind you though that it is an SPF. So this is
Yeah.
unheard of that like a SPF is gonna give you that beautiful glow that looks healthy. Like you look like you just fell from the heavens right now.
Do I look like I'm glowing?
Does he not?
That's quite a
I mean, everyone's
compliment.
agreeing. Yeah, all right, okay. All right, well, noticing my wife treats me differently when I get home.
Okay. No, honestly,
You'll have
truly.
dinner
Do you know what the
made
thing
for
is?
you.
One
Yeah.
time, Kyle is obsessed with these products. So one time Kyle came home and I thought he had just like gotten a tan or something.
Yeah.
But he looked so healthy and glowy. I was like, oh my gosh, your skin looks so good. He was like, it's that Cay Skin glow. And I was like,
Oh, he's
I'm gonna put
using
you in a
it.
commercial because that was good.
I love that. Oh, this smells really good too.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That was another thing that I really didn't
Yeah.
want to. I wanted to make sure that I didn't do was have that icky like SPF smell and
Yeah.
like taste and feel on the
yeah.
lips.
Especially when it melts sometimes in the sun and then you can taste it.
The SPF, oh my
Yeah.
gosh, just all over your mouth. So yeah.
Yeah, this smells good. All right, I'm going to use this. I can take these home, right?
Yeah.
okay.
They're all yours.
You mentioned Kyle a few times today, and I was wondering, like, what does it feel like when you both travel so much, you're both entrepreneurs as well, on top of the work that you do on a daily basis. Like, you live such similar lives in the sense of the lifestyle
Right.
of being busy and traveling and moving around. Like, how do you balance that with a healthy relationship? Like, what does that look like?
Because we both understand it. Like I'm very busy and he's very busy. So I think because we both come from that type of life, it's a little easier. But there are still like conflicts in it because with his career, there is a lot more structure. So, once the NBA, schedule comes out, I know where he's going to be for the next year.
Yeah.
So it's about kind of like adjusting to like where I'm going to be. But with my life being a model, it's no structure. It's like, oh my gosh, here's a script. Here's a shoot. This is what's happening. You're going to Paris next week, whatever. So I think that's a little bit difficult trying to find the balance in between the two. But I think it's just when you love someone, you just make it work. I don't know. It's like there's going to be conflict, like it's not like
Of
it's
course,
like all
yeah.
perfect and like, we figure it out. But yeah, when you want to make it work, you make it work.
It's beautiful hearing that because, Dhar and I are both in relationships long term. It's been a while that we've both been with our partners. And I think
How long have you guys been married?
I've been married for 6 and with my wife for 10 and known her for 14. So
Wow.
it's been a fair bit of time.
Yeah, gosh, it's over 7 years now. We always count the day from when we met. So we're engaged. I just say married because it's just
Yeah, of
easier.
course,
So
right.
yeah, we've been engaged for like 3 years and we met 7 years ago.
Wow.
Yeah.
Yeah, March 29th. Throw that out there to get some extra points from Laura.
Ooh, you them cookies.
I
Yeah,
know.
yeah.
I nailed our 7th anniversary, but go ahead.
No, go on. I want to hear it.
So do I.
It was a sentimental thing. Yeah, for Laura, she just lost her grandma, so I created like a very
bless.
special experience for her and her grandma. So it was just something that Laura could appreciate. I've done so many things that I feel like Instagram and the world would be like, oh my gosh, that's iconic. I want my boyfriend to do this and this and that. But like this time I decided to just do something that was like very private that just meant the world for Laura.
Yeah.
And I feel like I really checked the box with that one.
I can so relate to that. I feel like guys do that a lot. I feel like a lot of my early teenage validation came from how much I impressed a woman. And I wasn't even doing it for her to like me. I was doing it for me to like me.
Right.
Because I was like, oh, if everyone feels impressed by this thing I can do, then more people like me. But going back to that point of being in a healthy relationship, I think it's really interesting when both people can understand why each other are so busy.
Right.
Or why, like I feel like with my wife, she knows why I'm busy. She knows why I am where I am. And I
Right.
think the why is so much more important than what I'm doing.
Yes.
And so I think sometimes you can share schedules, you can share itineraries, but it's like that doesn't help the other person. They need
sure.
to know why that's important to you and why it's a priority. And I think sharing priorities is more important than sharing calendars. And it makes a huge difference.
Yeah, I have like I created Kyle's calendar for him, like the same way that I have it with my team, and I just like figured that it would help him as well in like his scheduling and stuff. So like I have access to his calendar, but I never check it.
So
I'd rather just call him and ask him, like, what are you doing
send
today?
flowers to Winnie? Is it like take Winnie to dinner? Is that in this calendar?
I don't check it. So
Put in.
oh, I should put that in. Oh
That's
my
what
gosh,
I'm
yeah.
saying.
Yep. Good. Note that one. I like that.
Yeah. And how, because I think a lot of couples struggle with this, like especially when your partner's so busy too. Like, how do you actually prioritize time for yourselves outside of your career?
I think I've always been such like a hopeless romantic and all this, but I think in trying not to be jaded and like just being like, oh yeah, I'm still always going to hold out for love and all these things. I've still become like someone who, like, I think about work, I think about all these things, whatever. Whereas Kyle is such like the person who like wants you to be there and like all that. So I think I'm learning from him, and I think that's also something that you have to do too. Like sometimes when you're in a relationship and you guys don't think the same way about something, I think it's really easy to get annoyed. I think we all do.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But when you look at those things and you think of the why that person is feeling that way, then it's like, cool, like you want to bond with me, you want to whatever, then it's kind of like, all right, I need to make time, or I need to do these things, because like not only are they important to you, but like they're important to me too, So so yeah, I think just the whys are very important,
Yes.
The whys are very, very important.
Absolutely. Winnie, we could talk to you for hours, but I've run out of time. We're going to end, which we do every interview with, a rapid fire round. So they're quick fire
My
questions.
favorite.
What's the best pickup line a guy's ever used on you?
The best pickup line.
Or the worst?
Kyle
Didn't know.
DM'd me, and he posted a picture of me on his story. That's the first thing I ever seen before we ever talked. This is during the pandemic too. So he posted a picture of me. We're both signed to Puma already, and so he saw a picture of me in Puma and posted it on his story, like, hyping up the Puma gang, whatever. And I was like, so I guess like, showing me off.
But that worked.
Yeah, that worked.
Yeah.
I'm a Leo too, so showing me off, it's a good way to my heart.
I love that. That's
Okay.
cool. When was the last time you felt genuinely joyful?
I was in Glam today, and I was just scrolling on social media while I was in Glam, trying to pass the time. And this reel came up, and it was just this girl making soap, and I just watched the most random stuff. Like, I love watching YouTube and like all that, so the most random things come up on my feed. But the background was just like thank you, Lord, for waking me up this morning and giving me another chance at life, giving me breath and all these things. And I just sat there and I was like, amen. Amen. And it was just like, anything that you don't want for my life, slam that door closed. And I was like, Lord, please don't slam those doors, close them gently. But yeah, I think that was like,
edit.
yeah.
I like that edit. Yeah. Got to be careful.
Yeah.
Got to be careful with those prayers.
No trauma in those things.
Your team is smiling with that answer, by the way. But you're asking all these nice questions.
Okay.
TikTok, we're supposed to be grilling
Go
a
on,
little
man.
bit.
I let you do the grilling.
All right. Yeah, thanks. Great.
Bad cop, good cop.
I know. You were talking about DMs earlier. What's the most famous person that's ever DM'd you? And what do they say?
I mean, the first person that comes to me is like Nikki.
Wow.
Yeah.
What
That's my
is
girl, though.
That's cool.
Can you say what she
tell
said?
us,
Love
yeah.
Nikki. I think Nikki because while like I do know her, I'm such a
Yeah.
big fan, and I've been a fan since I was in high school, right? So like, or middle school actually. But like I've texted her before.
Wow.
You know, like we text or we've talked on the phone as well. But I think the DMs just feel so cool though too, you know?
Yeah.
Or like Kim, but like again, like I've worked with Kim on
Yeah.
her makeup line that she gave me a collab. So like we've also texted and called.
Yeah.
But again, DMs is just so cool, you
Yeah,
know? So
yeah.
like that's who I think
do you
of.
know like that viral sound that Nikki has? It's a genre. Like you're so good at like voice impersonations.
Yeah.
I'm curious. Do you know how to do it?
Hers?
Like, do you know what I'm talking about? It's like not everybody
That
fits
one?
in the
Oh.
bad. We won't say the B word, but like
Not everybody fits in the bad genre. It's the genre.
I always crack up when I hear that.
You're really good at impressions. I'm impressed.
Thank you.
What other impressions can you do?
Ooh, I don't know. I have to be able to hear it. If I hear it, then I can
Yeah.
repeat it, you know?
Do a Jay impression.
That's easy for her. She can do that.
That's all I can do. I don't know. Jigga, yeah.
Oh, I meant this
He
Jay.
meant me. You meant Jay-Z. You meant Jay-Z. You meant Jay-Z on that. That's cool. That's cool.
That's cool.
You're
Yeah.
good, Jay-Z.
You call Jay-Z
Right.
Jay. We get it. We get it.
you.
Yeah, that's your reference. I love that. I love that. You're on that name basis with Jay-Z. Yeah, you call him Jay. I get it.
You're on that name basis with Jay-Z. Okay.
Wow,
that-
you really are good. Okay.
That's even more London than I am now. I've lost
It is. No. Yeah, I went a little bit
Yeah, you
further
went-
into it.
you
Yeah, I
went
did.
What gives life meaning for you?
Love. Being around people that you love. I think I notice this too when, you know, I go away from work and I come back and I get to just be around the people that I, you know, really love to spend time with, like my friends and my family. Even though like I love work, it's those things that take energy from you, you know, being at your job and like going out into the world, those things pull your energy. So being able to recharge my energy again with those loved ones.
I love that.
So you've traveled all over the world for work. Is there any place in the world that you haven't been to yet that you want to go to?
Bora Bora.
Ah.
Yeah, I want to lose my diamond earring in the ocean and have my little sister dive in and find it for me.
Are you going to make her do that?
I don't think she would. I really don't think she would.
Well, you're
One of my
older.
sisters might, but I don't think my other sister would.
If you could choose any superpower in the world, what would it be?
Any superpower, I would choose to be able to teleport because I don't like flying.
Okay, very convenient. Okay, and last and final question. Given the opportunity, would you ever host your own reality TV show?
I have been given the opportunity and I have not done so, only because I don't feel like they were the right fit for me. But I would. I think I would, for sure.
What would
if
it be
was
called?
the right fit, what would it be called?
Winnie?
I think something that has to do with, I don't know what it would be called, but something that has to do with inspiration and like that same thing of like relearning yourself,
Yeah.
you know, and coming into your own person. I think, like you said, even with social media, things have become like clickbait and what's going to be the craziest thing to watch. But I think if I was to do a show, I would want it to be inspiring. And if it was a reality show that had to do with other people, but if it was just me, I think I would want to venture into doing things that I love to watch, but I haven't done before. Or like, I think I've had this like crazy idea of like starting a YouTube channel, which is not that crazy, but it's crazy for me. But I watch YouTube so much and I have so many people who like, I went to YouTube Fest recently and I saw all these YouTubers that I watched and I was like, oh, hi. And they're like me? And I was like, yeah, like I'm a fan. They're like, no, I'm a fan of you. I'm like, well, yeah, I'm a fan of you too. I watch you, I'm subscribed, all this. And like being able to like interact with them on their channels or like, you know, kind of do like something like a tour where I get to like go on this ASAP Science channel that I love to watch and like do some science stuff with like sun care or whatever. Like just, yeah.
That's a great idea. We're excited to see that.
Yeah.
That'll be so dope. We think you do it naturally.
Let us know if you need help with that as well.
Yeah, he's the king of YouTube right
No,
here.
no.
Like,
Let's do it.
But yeah, for sure.
Yeah, let's do it. I'm down.
So who's your favorite YouTuber?
So one is ASAP Science. I love them. I love sciencey stuff. I also love Jackie Aina because she is love Jackie. She is a person that I always went to figure out like what were the best products, and I'm a product junkie. I love products. Yeah. Who else? Ooh, my best friend who I spoke about earlier. Her and her wife have a YouTube channel that they just started maybe like 7 months ago. Love. It's like a vlog channel. It's so good. So yeah, top 3.
I love that. That's it. Oh, you've got more questions.
Well,
now.
yeah, it was one we forgot to ask.
Go ahead.
So, well, tell us about what it was like working on Lemonade and the time that Beyonce stole your shoes.
Yes. So I actually, super funny. I got a call from one of my close friends, and she was like, hey, one of her good friends is Beyonce's assistant. And Beyonce wants your number, my number, and her assistant is asking for it. Can I give it to her? I said, girl, if you don't get back on that phone and give Beyonce my number. So that's how that started. And then we got in contact, and they asked me to come out and shoot for Lemonade. And I got there. I was like, you know, I'm packing my bags. I want to wear my cutest stuff. So I had these like cute little combat boots that had little heels on them, and I wore them to set. So I got into styling, boop, 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 but I wore those as like the shoes I was just gonna wear around set. And I'm sitting there chilling, and she was shooting, which song was it? It was My Daddy Alabama, Mama Louisiana. You mix that Negro with that Creole, make that Texas Bama. So she's shooting that, and she's in the hallway, and we're watching her on the screen as she's like going around, boop, boop, boop. And her next shot, they're preparing for the next shot while she's filming this. They run over to me, see my shoes, and they're like, where did you get those shoes? Thinking like which stylist pulled those, like boop, 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 whatever. And I was like, they're mine. They're like, no, right, they're yours, but like, who gave them to you?
Yeah.
And I was like, no, I brought them, they're mine. And they're like, oh, okay, well, they look very similar to the shoes that she's supposed to wear next, and they can't find them. So could they take, what size do I wear? I was like, I'm an 8.5. Boom, she's an 8. So they're like, can we use yours? And I was like, yeah, I mean, anything for Beyonce. You crazy? For sure. Took them off my feet, gave them to them immediately. I only shot for like 1 or 2 days, and that was the last day I was shooting. And so I was like, hey, can I get my shoes back? And they were like, yeah, you know, continuity, we need those shoes for the rest of filming. And I was like, how long is that? The rest of the night, tomorrow? They're like, no, like the next month, we need these shoes. And I was like, okay, cool. They're my favorite shoes currently. And they're like, okay, so sorry, but like, can we keep them? And I was like, well, I mean, what am I gonna say? No to Beyonce? No way. It's Beehive right here. We don't say no to Beyonce. So I left my shoes there, but before I left, I went back to my trailer to pack all my stuff up, get my bags, and right there on the table were some really nice leather Sergio Rossi boots that were very similar, but different because they were from Beyonce. So she gave me a pair of shoes because she had to take mine, which is really
did you ever get your boots back?
I did not. I rebought them though.
Wow.
But
Okay.
The ones she gave me were way better and way more expensive than the ones I gave her. So I think, you know, good trade. Good trade.
That's amazing. What a great story. I'm so glad you asked that
I know.
question.
I think it's a great way to end, actually.
Yeah, I love that.
Nothing could beat that story, I feel.
Absolutely.
I got nothing.